Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to have what is probably going to be my last ever Hop House 13. Before you say it, no, I'm not being dramatic. This has actually been discontinued in the UK. That is true, at least at time of recording. They may bring it back, who knows. This bottle is actually a month or so out of date, but by a month or so I mean 3 months. But you know, I've had this sat around because I was going to do a side-by-side comparison with the replacement. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but Guinness have brought out another lager, not branded as Guinness. Apparently it's quite different. And I never really got around to it, to be honest, because that new one's not showing up an awful lot in my local supermarket. So not had the chance. I thought I'd share this with you, kind of last thoughts on a beer that, to be honest, I had high hopes for when it came out, but hasn't really ever lived up to expectations for me. I've certainly enjoyed the odd pint of it, but long term I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. So let's get into it and see. It probably needs no introduction, but I will give you a look at the bottle anyway. That classic Hop House 13 sticker, and even a 13 on the cap. Don't really have any small lager glasses, so I'm going to have to go with this bigger one. This is more of a multi-purpose, but it does have the widget at the bottom, so that's all we care about here. And it's still fizzing away. Smoke off the bottle seems fresh enough. In the glass then, heaps of carbonation, I think it's fair to say. Look at that. You can see my face through there, that's quite terrifying. Heaps of carbonation, nice golden, kind of deeper, darker lager colour. One finger, properly white head, properly condensed. I have to say, it does look appealing. It looks like a good lager. Aroma-wise, this is where this beer's always fallen a bit flat for me. I think it was meant to be a slightly hoppy lager, and whilst there is definitely more nose than most beers, it has a slightly synthetic quality to it. I can't really put my finger on it, but it has an aroma that's always slightly put me off this, and it's a little bit detergenty, almost a bit chlorine-y. I've seen it in other beers. It's obviously an ingredient or something used during the brewing process that causes it. Honestly, wouldn't have expected it from a behemoth like Guinness, so anyway. That is really all there is to say about it. There's a bit of malt in there, but really nothing to write home about, so let's get into it. Cheers to potentially my last ever Hop House 13. Truthfully, I don't think I've had one of these since I really started reviewing beer, and it does have some reasonable qualities. It's a couple of months out of date, as I said, so not the perfect test, but heaps of carbonation. But there is a notable biscuity, cereal-esque malt kind of build to this that actually makes me quite sad it's going, weirdly. I do suspect, however, with this being slightly old, that the hop part of it has kind of been worn down a bit, and therefore the malts are showing through maybe a bit more than they would on a fresh one. And to be honest, it was the slightly over synthetically hopped nature of this beer that I always dislike. So right now, that is, whilst not excellent, a damn sight better than I kind of recall it. There you go, anyone who's got a Hop House 13 left, make it vintage, because apparently that improves it. So top to bottom taste test. Initially, heaps of carbonation, tiny bit bitter on the front of the tongue. That leads into a slightly zesty, very refreshing note across the middle of the tongue, really low key though. Another spike of carbonation just before and on the swallow. It's got quite a grating sensation at the back of the throat, really kind of carbonation attacking you as you take it down. Slightly drying, but overall refreshing. You don't end up with a dry mouth at the end of it, and there's that maltiness in the aftertaste, really. Once it's all settled down and gone, then you start to go, there's very fair biscuit notes in there. The hop's not particularly present in this one, but as I say, I think that's an age thing. But yeah, I mean, am I really sad it's going? No, there are 1,000 better lagers than this out on the market right now from independents, and to be honest, even some bigger breweries. So no, I'm not absolutely mortified by the fact I'm never going to have this again. But it was an interesting experiment from Guinness to come out with something lighter, and I think for a time it did really well. I'm just not sure what happened to make them think, you know what, that's enough, we're going to try it with something else and a different brand. I can only suspect that maybe sales dropped, or something about the way they were making it made it, I guess, unattainable at that price point, because let's be honest, it's not a deluxe beer, you don't want to pay loads for this, and it was always quite pricey, to be honest, on tap. So yeah, certainly couldn't get any more expensive and be reasonable. There's some brightness to it, decent malt flavour, but it is what it is. It's a massively produced lager by someone who does know what they're doing, admittedly. I do like Guinness, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's not their finest product, let's say, and I think we'll leave it there. Short review, but I wanted to experience, arguably for the last time, Hop House 13 Lager with you good people, so thank you very much for joining me. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like it if you haven't already subscribed, if you would be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.